So there are several reasons why I started You Made a Way, but one of those reasons has to do with my biological mother. So this episode is going to be a little bit of personal sharing. So if you're down for that, then keep listening. If not, no worries. I understand. Hi, my name is Crystal Fedeli. I am a social researcher, policy analyst, and the founder of a 501c3 nonprofit called You Made a Way. We just believe that there is always a way, even when it seems there is no way. And we support women who are pregnant and alone, leaving unsafe situations, or just single moms facing financial insecurity find their way to safety, security, and a future. But so my mother had something called borderline personality disorder. And so she was very abusive. She was abusive a lot emotionally and mentally, psychologically, and she was a bit physically abusive as well. And then when I became a preteen, her husband, my stepfather, started to subject me to sexual abuse. And I kept it in for years because my mother I didn't know what it was at the time as a preteen, but she had borderline personality disorder. All I knew is that she would be very abusive emotionally and mentally and physically. And I had 3 younger siblings. She had 3 children with my stepfather who were my 3 half siblings. And there was no one to protect them if I went anywhere. See, I had a biological father's house to go to, and my siblings would have had nowhere to go. In addition to that, my mother also had something called rheumatoid arthritis. And so she was very crippled. And my mother also did not even have a high school education. And all she ever did was waitress, which there's nothing wrong with waitressing. I did it all throughout my undergrad years. But my point being is that when you have rheumatoid arthritis and you're crippling from that condition, waitressing is not a job that's even possible, right? And not having even a high school education made her employment capabilities very, very limited. And so I kept in the sexual abuse for years. But finally, when I became 15, I finally said something about what I was going through. And I actually didn't even mean to. I was at a youth group summer camp trip, and it just kind of came out of me like word vomit. And obviously, there was no turning back from there because, the youth leaders had, it was blurted out in front of them. And so obviously, they were responsible for calling the authorities, and rightfully so. Um, anyway, so my mother went on to the next 18 years of her life because she lived for 18 more years after that. She died at age, I believe, 56 or somewhere around there, very young. And this was 2.5 years ago from the time of me recording this episode. But she went on to basically say that I was lying and trying to destroy the family. That was the story she told about the situation. She even went so far as to try to have me see this. I think he was a psychologist or something of that nature. And he was seeing my stepfather and her, and she tried to have me come in for some sessions to try to get the psychologist to be a guest expert at the trial or what have you. And one of the families in the church believed her because half of the church believed her story at the time, and I guess half believed me. And one of the families actually went into court and testified for him and against me. And so she just kept that story with her until her day where she passed away from this world. And after her funeral, because my one uncle, God bless his soul, told me, otherwise if he didn't tell me, nobody would have told me. Nobody told me when my grandpa, my mom's father passed away. So I never got to say goodbye to him. But thank God my uncle, he told me about my Oma's funeral. Oma is grandma in German. And he told me about my mother. And so I got to go to her funeral, and my uncle had told me that he was talking with some of my mother's friends and that my mother had actually told them that she actually did believe me, but she didn't know how she would financially support herself. And so she had to find a way to stay with my stepfather. And so, listen, in a way, I understand it, even though, you know, it's like, yeah, but you got to do the right thing. But yeah, at the same time, she was crippled. And having experienced a situation myself where I had to leave an unsafe situation and I was, financially cut off when I drew boundaries, to just have only healthy relationships in my life, and that relationship was not healthy because the individual was not, self-reflecting, willing to look at their patterns and take ownership and work towards, you know, being different in a way that did not cause me harm, emotionally and mentally. When I drew boundaries, they cut me off from our marital income. And so me being able bodied, having 2 graduate degrees, I just can't even imagine, and having a pretty good, extensive professional experience. I can't even imagine what it was like for my mother. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's some nuance there. Like, I understand, but then at the same time, anyway. So, I'm just going to let that nuance sit. But this is why I created You Made a Way, because when I experienced being cut off from my marital income, um, and I had to turn to the system, I barely made it out. And it's only because of my, I think, educational background and my legal background that I was able to make it out. And so, anyways, that's why I created You Made a Way. One of the reasons why I created You Made a Way, because I just believe that there's always a way, even if it seems there is no way. And I'm just so passionate about helping women, yes, who are pregnant and alone, which I know was not my mom's situation, but women leaving unsafe situations, which was her situation. She didn't feel like she could leave that unsafe situation, um, because she would have been a single mom facing financial insecurity. Right. And I just am so passionate about helping women find their way to safety, security, and a future. But here's the thing, I believe that God, needs people like me and others to step up and make that way possible. And so that's why one of the reasons why I created You Made a Way. So thank you for joining me for this episode where I shared one of the reasons why I created You Made a Way. And if you are a organization or an event planner and you would like to work with me, I want to invite you to go ahead and visit me at crystalfedeli.com. And if you are a professional or you have some kind of expertise and you want to partner with You Made a Way, or if you are a survivor and you need support, I want to invite you to go ahead and visit us at youmadeaway.org. And I will see you next time for the next episode. I'm going to be sharing more reasons why I created You Made a Way. And I don't know if Princess is going to join us next time. Can you see Princess? Let's see. Hold on. Here she is. It's Princess. She's so cute. Anyways, maybe she'll join us. Sorry. Maybe she will join us next time. Got to get that perfect camera angle. Okay. Maybe she will join us next time. Maybe not. She's wagging her tail. So I think she's like, yes, mommy, I want to join. So she might be here next time. All right. Take care. Bye.